Hi. So I wanted to do a short video talking about the test suite behind Modernizr. It's kind of fun, and it's not your typical test suite. One of the reasons behind that is that Modernizr is a feature detection library, and so it's detecting each feature on one case-by-case basis in every single browser. So writing a test suite against what the expected behavior should be is a little tricky. But it's got some fun stuff in it. So I just kind of wanted to walk through it and show what's going on. Okay, yeah. Over at GitHub, in the repo is the actual test folder, and we're just gonna bring it up. Let's see, I have my notes over here. Cool, okay. So this right here is the test suite. It's a qunit test suite, and but it's a little modified, right? Like there's this stuff up at the top, and this is just a dump of what Modernizr reports. But then down here, of course, is all the tests that are going on, and beneath that we have some more stuff that I'm going to get to in a second. So there's a few things going on, and so some of the things that we can test for sure, like a normal unit test, is Modernizr comes with some extensibility APIs so that you can add your own tests. Add test is kind of at the core of all of that, and add test is got a lot of different ways to interact with the API, and so a few ways to handle that. And so we tackle all that. But once those are all kind of tackled, oh boy. Once those are all kind of tackled, then there's some more fun stuff to do. So one of the things that we wanted to capture is, and I think this is a priority for most JavaScript libraries. You want to make sure that you only are exposing the global variables that you expect to, right? You don't want to leak any global variables. So I'm going to bring up, let's see, yeah, here. So this is the qunit test suite, the HTML file behind it. And so you'll see these are the scripts that I have loaded in this page. We're going to go through a few of these. One of the first, polyfills, this is kind of cool. Polyfills just has a few ECMAScript additions, so array prototype index of, object.keys, array prototype map. These are so useful, and it's completely reasonable to polyfill these in for all browsers just to make your job easier when you're writing JavaScript. But you'll notice right after that is detect global. And so detect global is written by Kangax, actually. And so what it just does is detects what are the global variables currently in scope. And so the cool way that it does this is basically it creates a brand new iframe, sets that iframe to about blank, and then it looks inside that iframe, looks at all the properties that are on the window object, and then compares that to the parent frame, right? Figures out the difference, and then it can tell you, these are all the new things. And so I can basically then see, Modernizr is exposed, and in most cases, yep, nope gets exposed. So those are our two globals. And I want to make sure that no I or J or K kind of iterator variables are exposed globally. So we have that as a nice check. Now, the next thing is where it gets kind of fun, which is, so since Modernizr does feature detection, I want to know that the results that Modernizr returns are correct results. But there's no way in JavaScript to really test that my JavaScript, which detects these, is giving proper results. So the way that we do that was we just pull in an external data source and we test that data against what I reported inside Modernizr. So what we use for that is caniuse.com. So you might have used this site, extremely useful for just telling you at a glance, what are the browsers that support inline block or alpha pings or whatever. A lot of different features are mentioned in here. And one of the things I like most about it is there's also this global user stat, so it gets information from stat counter and says, you know, for box sizing, 88% of all web users have support for this in their browser. It's kind of cool. But we just want the data of what browsers support what. And we're going to take this data and match it against what we just reported for whatever browser this is currently running in. So I wanted to show you a little bit about how that works. So this is my caniuse helper. The first thing is that caniuse actually offers an API. It offers a nice JSON-P API, so I can just be like, hey, give me all the data that you have, and I'm going to call it back. The next thing is that this comes in, of course, the caniuse data is not an exact direct match to my data. I have to kind of translate some names, so that's what's going on down here. Just having a nice little dictionary lookup. But then we get into some cool stuff. One of the tricky parts of dealing with a large JSON object that comes, or I mean a large JavaScript object that comes back over an API or anything else, is that traversing it and looking inside of it to get data out of it manually is kind of rough, and it requires a lot of the and operator and just seeing if things exist and then go inside of them and for-inning inside of each object. It gets pretty tedious. And so what we actually use is jsonselect. JSonSelect is a script written by a Mozilla engineer. Basically, he thought, you know, it would be nice if we could use essentially CSS selectors on JavaScript objects. And so here's a little brief example. We have this object here, and we say author, drink pref, first child. And so just like CSS, it goes and grabs the author property, the author object, and then inside of that, it grabs drink pref, and then it grabs the first child, the first property, I guess this is actually inside of an array of drink pref, and returns back to you that. So kind of nice for dealing with larger objects. So we use that here in the test suite, where we want to get all the browser data for the browser that we care about. And the browser that we care about is Modernizr, you know, just reports whatever it knows about the current browser that it's in. So I'm running in Chrome right now, and Chrome supports border radius. It doesn't support touch events. It doesn't support input type color, but it does support a number of other things. And so when I know, so I know this is Chrome, and in fact the user agent is listed right here, and I can see it's Chrome version 15. But caniuse, you know, says Chrome 15.0, and I have to match up somehow, right? This, my UA string, and this. So I have to do UA sniffing. Now, there are essentially two, if you absolutely need to do UA sniffing, and sometimes you do, and if you have to do it client side, there are two libraries that I would recommend. And if you aren't using either of these two, then you're definitely doing it wrong. The first is called UA Parser. And UA Parser was originally developed by Lindsay Simon at Google, and is basically Google's user agent parsing library that Google uses internally. And he ported it, and he cleaned it up and wrote it into Python. And it's good. And then Toby Langell, who now works for Facebook, he ported that to Node. So it's a JavaScript implementation, mostly for Node. But I took it and made it work in the browser too. So we have a nice JavaScript-based UA parser, extremely robust, handles all the edge cases that you normally would screw up if you were trying to UA parse yourself. I should point out the other JavaScript-based user agent parsing library that I recommend is Platform.js. Platform.js is written by John David Dalton, and he wrote it originally for jsperf.com. And it's very robust, handles a lot of the edge cases as well. John maintains it very well. So those two are the only two that you should use if you have to do it. So in our case, we're going to be using UA parser. And so you can see that I throw the user agent to UA parse. And then down here, yeah, we're going to, let's see, JSonSelect grabs this data. It looks like this returns an array. We're using array index of, luckily, because of our polyfill that we added before. And then we grab the, in our case, this would be Chrome. Grab Chrome's data for each thing, iterate over that, do some more stuff. Cool, so now we've basically got all the caniuse data. And what we can do as a result of this is look at it. So in the test, here is all the results. So we can say the caniuse result for touch matches Modernizr's result for touch. It's expected to be false because that's what caniuse said, and Modernizr reports the exact same thing. And so for everything, we know that Modernizr and caniuse are saying the exact same result about what it should be, so that we can make sure that our JavaScript is not having any false positives, because of browsers like to half implement features sometimes, and so it can be kind of tricky to feature detect cleanly. So we have this way to kind of have a sanity check here. The other thing I wanted to show is the RefTests. So RefTest is a reference test, and this is a little RefTest suite that caniuse developed, and I helped out with a little bit. So Alexis Deveria is the developer behind caniuse.com, and he made this. So for each feature, we have a bunch of features here, and we have a big green square saying what's going on, if it's good or not. This auto square here says, it basically reports whatever Modernizr says. Green for we got it, red for fail, pass fail. And then we have a visual square, and visually these two squares look the same, but all this is just a color that's either colored in lime or red. The visual square is cool. All of them are so cool. Like so I'm going to show off how one of them is done. So so we're looking at border radius, and I'm going to open up the DevTools here. All right, where are we? This guy. Cool. Okay, so border radius. Okay, first we have a div. It's 30 by 30. It has overflow hidden on it. Okay, good. Inside of that we have two divs. One of them is lime and one of them is red. Interesting. I'm going to take off the overflow hidden just for a moment. Okay, so lime is first and then red is second. Worth pointing out that red has a position absolute and top 0, and has a higher Z index. So what should happen is that red sits on top of the lime. Now, if you notice this crazy border radius going on, so that's just testing to make sure that we have border radius, right? Because let's say that I bring this border radius down, right? So let's say, if this is styled without a border radius, and I'm going to apply back the overflow hidden, it fails. And as, assuming that border radius works, the green underneath it is exposed. So visually, we have a nice lime or red test. And how it was implemented is a little clever, just to kind of be able to get that nice quick visual result. So the cool thing here is that we have visual tests functionally testing out a bunch of stuff. To be honest, I don't know what's going on with this big thing. I don't know. So, but it's cool because this one page we have all the results of what Modernizr says and RefTests, so that in one page you can kind of get the full dump of all the features in the browser and visually confirm that indeed that is the true story. Cool. The last thing I wanted to show is that Modernizr has a bunch of extra tests. So inside Modernizr core is essentially 50 tests for HTML5 and CSS3 stuff, things like border radius and box shadow, all this stuff. But there's a lot of other things that people want to test for. And so right now they're being collected in a little folder on the repo called feature detects. And so there's things like box sizing, which is really useful, pointer events, the details element, emoji, which is really good. So it actually tests to see if your browser renders emoji. Awesome. So there's some good stuff in here. Oh, I just added cookies yesterday. You always want to know if you have cookies or not. Okay, so I also wanted to show these because because this test suite kind of both functions as a yes, the library is working, and what does the library say about my current browser, I wanted to include everything that we could test. So the way that we do that is kind of cool. What I wanted to do is grab all the tests out of Modernizr. Out of GitHub, because we accept pull requests for this folder all the time. So I just want to grab whatever's in there. So what we can actually do is use the GitHub API and grab everything. So this is essentially it. We use a little JavaScript wrapper for the GitHub API that FitzGen wrote. Where is it? Sorry about this. Here it is, github.js. FitzGen wrote this, gives us a really sweet API for interacting with the GitHub API. And so what it ends up looking like is we use the object method, the Modernizr username, the Modernizr repo, we call blob all on the master branch. And this just returns an object that describes essentially all the files and blobs in the repo at the current state. And then at that point we can iterate over them, check all the file names, see what are the file names that are inside of the feature detects library. And then we have a big array of file names. Then this is my favorite part. So what I want to do is once I have all those file names, I just want to grab them out of this repo. And so I'm going to basically grab like this file, this cookies file, which is hosted right here. Yeah, cool. So I want to grab this file and I want to pull it in as a script tag into my test page. So we use, we're going to use jQuery and the new deferreds to do that. We have an array of file names and we want to use deferreds, and deferreds work by acting on like essentially AJAX objects. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to know when all of these get scripts finish. We're going to get all of them. And so one way that we could do it, right, is that we like see var scripts lang equals file names dot length, and then we could get script, and let's just say that, you know, file names I kind of thing, and then the callback is where we're going to like scripts len minus minus, and if this is, you know, terrible code, equals 0, then finally we know that we're done, sort of thing. That's gross. It's totally gross. So we can do way better than that. So with deferreds, we can basically say, you know what, I'm going to do all these asynchronous operations. When it's completely done, let me know. So that's what we do. We grab that array of file names. We create a new array using that base array. And our new array is going to hold references to whatever the heck getScript returns. They are jquexhr objects, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. So get scripts, these all just start getting fired off. They just keep going asynchronously, but it's okay because we have an array holding all of its return values. And then we're going to pass them into jquery.when. jquery.when accepts any number of arguments, and we want to pass it in an array. So we're going to use apply. So jquery.when apply, and then we're going to pass in our array of jquexhrs. And we just say, hey, you know what? Hey, when it's done, call up this function. Call up results to DOM. And results to DOM is just going to say, it's just going to dump these out right out here. And then that's it. So we're getting the brand new, freshest stuff from GitHub. And then we can see exactly what the results are. So unfortunately, so sad, Chrome does not have support for emoji. It's just, I'm gonna work on that. I'll file a ticket. Okay, so anyways, that's it really. I just wanted to kind of walk through how this was constructed. So hope that was useful. If you have any ideas or any ways that we could make this better, please let me know. Because I want it to certainly be the most robust way that we can do to detect some of these things that are sometimes pretty tricky to find a text form. Okay, so thanks very much for watching.